I feel like we have a pretty good rounded idea of our characters. I have one more question for you guys. Well, it's sort of two questions. How are you guys, together? The whole premise of this campaign is that you guys are acting as a unit. How do you guys meet? So the thing that will bind you all is you're going to summon a demon in some way, shape, or form. Either from being foolish children and not really giving an incantation the respect that it deserves, or you guys are together and you open something that just sort of releases a demon that's now bound to the three of you. So I guess the question is, how do you three meet, and how does this demon come into play? Or is this demon the thing that sort of binds you together from the get-go?
So did Asher say that he's like orphaned as well?
Yeah.
So I wonder if I don't know, like if there's some connection between like the orphanage that Ella's currently in, and you through that, I
mean, I've been living in a cave for 5 years.
He probably doesn't have much of an inclination to go seek out an orphanage, huh?
No.
Fair point.
My first initial thought was maybe I saw Dash transform and was just so fascinated by the fact that he was both the civilized and the natural world.
Oh, I love that.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like maybe like we were in like the same part of the woods that Dash goes to, like to kind of clear his head and like just become an animal and just kind of sit there and think for himself, and like didn't see you there or something, and like saw you and kind of panicked a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was like the first interaction.
So
I love that.
That could be cool. And then what if like, I don't know, tell me if this is reasonable or not. There's like some, not government, but like social services sort of folks who see these two kids like in the woods and are like, yo, do you have parents? And like take them to the orphanage or something that Ella's in. And then maybe, somehow she gets wound up in the whole thing because she's not really a social animal at this point in her story, but like seeing
let me pitch this. We'll see how we like this. Okay. So Ash has come to Ankh. He I guess he's probably on the Moorpork side, like we established, because that's where Dash is. So he comes in on Moorpork from the woods that Dash uses to transform into his werewolf form or his wolf form. They sort of become friends. Like this is obviously it's really.
I follow him around.
Right. This is like the sort of the first. So this is sort of the first time that Dash has really interacted with someone who really knows that he's infected and is very excited about it, which has to be like sort of disarming in a way. And you set up camp basically behind Dash's house. So, because it's, it makes sense. Yeah. You're near the city. Yeah. You got this other guy. He's cool with it. It's whatever. So one night, you've probably been there for a few nights. There's one night where you are on the side of the city where the orphanage would be, the social services side, basically, which also just so happens to be where the guilds are, because that's what you're doing there. You're trying to, you're trying to get a ranger to sort of take you on as his apprentice. Yeah. It's getting late, so you're going to go back to Dash's house to, make camp for the night. And that same night, Ella is sneaking out of the orphanage and sees this kind of shady, dirty kid walking from the okay part of town to the really nice part of town. So Ella, in this curiosity, follows Ash back to Dash's house. And I basically want to like, what I basically want to get to is Ash. Is it Asher? I'm going to call you Ash. It's Ash and Dash is who we have now.
That's
Every
so
fight we get
confusing.
into, we're going to have to say that we're going to give them the old Ash and Dash.
Ash and Dash.
Yes, please.
So basically what I want to get to is that Dash invites. So Asher realizes that Ella is following her, as sneaky as Ella is really trying to be. And, is basically like, why are you following me? I think you're trying to break into someone's house. I just wanted to watch, or, something like that. And Asher's like, no, I like live over here, something like that. And the three of you wind up invited over to Dash's for dinner. Over the course of that dinner, you guys are in a hallway. Someone pushes.
I just can't imagine
breaks.
my character when she invited to a dinner party that she knows no one in and doesn't want to be in. That'll be fun.
So
that'd be fun to play out.
Basically what I'm thinking it of is like Asher is like, no, I live over here, and Ella's like, there's no way, prove it, knock on the door. I'm gonna walk away from you, you're gonna break into someone's house. That's what's gonna happen here. So prove to me that you live here. So yeah. Asher goes up, knocks on the door, and Dash opens it, and he's like, who the heck is this? And he's like, she followed me home. She doesn't know that I live here. She doesn't think I live here or something. And sort of gets dragged in by the parents. Like, oh, you have friends? Please come in. He needs friends. Please come in for dinner. Please, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then you guys are sort of in, and, at some point after dinner, you guys are in a hallway, and it's some series of events happens where you guys knock over a vase that happens to contain a demon.
I love that demon, or that Dash's parents casually have a vase with a demon in it.
Mom.
And I love
the only one of us that
I want
has
that
parents.
to be a really interesting thing where Dash's parents have all of this really weird, occult paraphernalia, but they don't. But they're pretty confident that none of it actually has anything in it. So they don't really believe that you guys, are seeing a demon or anything.
Yeah. if we really wanted it to come full circle, that a vase or some of those objects could be things that Ella's parents have acquired and sold to Dash's parents. If we really want the whole thing to go full circle like that, then
full circle.
Well, okay, so that could be another thing then. Maybe I don't know, maybe Ella follows her mom or something, or gets a tip from her mom to steal one of those things from this house, and that's how she ends up there.
Do you want to do something like that, or do you want to do her mom is selling something to Dash's parents that night?
Yeah.
And Dash's parents invite you and your mom in for dinner.
That could be interesting. I don't know. I don't know if her mom should be there.
Or what if her mom sold something to Dash's parents and then is planning on stealing it back and selling it to somebody else?
What?
That's good.
That's so deep.
I don't feel like it's a good move in a city that has a thieves guild.
Yeah.
Fair point.
It could be her mom has sold something to these people, and she is just increasingly curious about the sort of stuff that her mom is buying and selling or whatever. And so she follows the trail, and that's how she ends up at that house,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well then, so I like the relationship we've established with Asher and Dash. So I guess, how do you want, do you want to be invited into the house, Alex, or are you wanting to just sort of, scope out the house and try and figure out
I think
basically, I'd like to role play this dinner scene, basically.
Yeah,
or like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
this sort of evening scene where, you know, Ella is sort of figuring out whatever it is that she's trying to figure out.
I think the only way she ends up in that house when it's full of people, because she would, you know, recognize it's full of people, is if she's like invited in and it doesn't know how to not go in, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think she would go in a house full of people to like scope it out.
Okay. Well, I got an idea then. So I guess talk us through. So you're. No, I got this. Okay. So let me GM here for a second.
All right, we're playing the game.
We're doing it. Oh, let me get my dice.
In
All right.
character.
I just dropped it on my Chick-fil-A.
Oh, Chick-fil-A sounds so
Dang it.
I just
Throw
did
my
you catch
D20
that?
in the ketchup.
Did you catch that good dice hitting my desk noise? Let me do it again if you didn't.
Oh, beautiful. You probably couldn't hear mine because it landed in ketchup, but
Oh, I heard it.
Today
Oh.
doing an ASMR podcast. Dice noises hitting the table.
Okay. So Ella, you are so you recently witnessed your mom sell a piece of art. And you've been trying to kind of figure out where it came from. I guess how long have you thought that your mom has been stealing things, or you know, how do you think she's acquiring these things?
I think that it for a while she didn't really even think about it, and then as you know, time progressed, probably especially after she ended up in the orphanage, she's began to wonder like, yeah, what is my mom dealing with if I haven't known about it? You know, like if she hasn't told me about it, and now she's going to the length of like putting me in this place where I'm not with her, you know? So I think, yeah, since she's had some curiosity since she's been there.
So I imagine what you're probably doing right now is you're basically going to all of like the rich people's houses and you're trying to like figure out what everyone has. So that way, when you see it, if you ever see one of these things in your mom's possession, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. Like she's just trying to gain some knowledge of the expensive people things.
Right. So tonight you find yourself scoping out the Fenric house. I would assume you're probably approaching the house from the street, but then very quickly want to move off to the side to kind of scope out what's actually happening inside.
Mm-hmm. Is this in like in a residential area, or is it kind of like in a forest or what? It's
kind of like a cul-de-sac in some ways, but like everyone's backed up onto a decent plot of land. The Fenrics don't, but their next door neighbors actually keep some dragons.
Oh shoot!
Which in this world, dragons aren't as they're not like they're like dumb lizards. Like you don't like they can breathe some fire, I guess, but like they're just stupid. There's no rich people keep them. You know rich people.
Yeah, I hate rich people.
So the Fenrics don't keep
pseudo dragons.
What'd you say?
Called pseudo dragons.
Pseudo dragons. Thank you. So the Fenrics don't keep dragons, but their neighbors do. The Fenrics do have a decent amount of land that's just sort of dedicated to their, their family. They probably have a couple animals, I would assume. So you can't approach this house from like the non-street side. You are in a wealthy neighborhood during dinner time, though. So I mean, there's no one outside. They're all, chowing down.
I want to clarify something real quick and just double check. So is the dinner happening like at Dash's parents' house or at the Fenric's house? Because the Fenric was
they're the where. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
What's Dash's parents' name or the family name?
The family name is Rockston. The parents were Cecilia and I wrote Adam, but that's going to get complicated.
Nope.
Yeah. Cecilia and John Rockston. were the name of the parents.
Cecilia,
You're breaking my heart.
I totally forgot about the Adam thing.
No worries. So, so tonight you are scoping out the Rockston house, or at least it's the first house on your list. It's dinner time. There's no one on the street if you want to approach from that way. But I can tell you that you don't really see anything going on in the house. I mean, you can tell there are lights, like there are candles starting to burn. It's dusk, so it's starting to get kind of dark. But yeah, there's no. You can't see anything from the windows out front.
Okay, would she be able to discern from candles being on that there's probably people there, at least?
I would say that it's probably a fair assumption that
okay.
there are people.
So I think what she would do is, so she's like in black, right? She almost always wears all black anyway, but she's going to kind of like come off the road, and kind of like go to the side of the house. And like, she's going to approach like stealthily and try and like peer into a window, to just kind of get a sense of what's happening inside the house. She doesn't have any intention of going inside, at least not yet. Okay.
So she, wanders around to the side of the house. Sorry, I was just reading a pronunciation of something. It wanders around to the side of a house and, peers in through the window. She's a gnome, so it's going to be kind of a climb to hoist herself up to the window.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be that difficult that you would actually need to roll for it or anything. You hoist yourself up, and right as your eyes sort of get high enough that they can see something, you realize that the window you're looking into is the dining room, and there are people there. In the split second, there's at least 5 people, 3 of them sitting at the dining room table.
Yeah, she drops down immediately. So just like lets go of the windowsill and allows herself to fall back down to the ground.
Okay. I guess just from that moment, you don't get a decent idea of what the layout of the house is. Do you want to move further around the backside? I mean, you know that most of the people are going to be concentrated in the kitchen and the dining room at this point because, people are sitting down for dinner. So where would anyone else in the house be?
Yeah, I think with that knowledge, she actually goes around to the front and is going to like peer, through like a window in the front or through like a door. Okay.
So you go around to the front, you look around, make sure the coast is clear. You peer in through one of the windows that's up there, and you sort of get a layout for the house that if you're looking at the house from the front, around on the right side, there is a living room that gives way into a dining room. On the left side, there's going to be another living room, and that gives way into a kitchen. There's a staircase right in the middle, and that's going to lead to your upstairs.
Cool. Yeah. So her goal is to like see what these people have on them, and especially like look for anything that like maybe looks familiar, like that maybe rings a bell of like seeing her mom having at some point. She doesn't like explicitly know what her mom has sold, but she imagines that maybe if she sees something that looks familiar, it would like trigger something,
Yeah. So I guess what you see in these rooms, in these 2 living rooms primarily, there are fairly large works of art hanging above the mantles. Mm-hmm. It's in most of the houses that you've gone into, that you've looked into like this, you see family pictures above the mantle, but this one actually neither of them have a family picture. They're just sort of, and one's a landscape scene and one is a still life scene. Neither of them look familiar to you, and that your mom would have had them, but also she's not one to carry these very large items. She's more of a smaller knickknack sort of person.
Yeah.
You see clocks that look vaguely familiar, but nothing that's like, that's definitely something my mom had. Mm-hmm. Same thing. You see a couple busts of people that, I mean, all of these old people kind of look the same if you're not really looking for something in particular. You do see a vase though. And that did seem really, that does ring a bell. It looks like something you've definitely seen before. Most of the time when your mom had something, it wasn't uncommon for her to let you hold it, kind of mess with it, play with it, whatever, just see what it looks like. And this one, she wouldn't let you even touch. It's a really beautiful piece. I mean, it's a small vase. I'm trying to think of a reference size, but I mean, it could fit. You could hold it in one hand really easily.
Sure.
It's rounded, has a very typical vase look to it. Has pinstripes going down the side, and it's very like the thing you remember about it is the pinstripes were extremely black, and then every about third white line that was was in between the black pinstripes were just these really weird looking symbols. It almost looked like a language of some kind, like a kind of people that weren't using English or a common language that were using pictures to represent things. And it's something that either there are multiples of these, which I mean isn't uncommon in a city like Ankh either, because of fakes, or they've pilfered these from the same places, or this is something that your mom definitely had. And what you remember about this vase in particular was a star on the bottom of the vase, but obviously you can't see that.
Yeah, I think that since it looks familiar, and also since like her mom was especially careful with it, it definitely has like her interest. So, can she hear anything like people talking from indoors, like such that she's able to make out voices or anything?
Yeah,
should I do a check for that?
She can hear very typical, rich people talk. They're sitting around the table like, "Oh dear, what did you do today?" Stuff like that. Nothing
boring.
Yeah, nothing that's really drawing your attention to anything. And actually, right here in this moment, you feel someone watching you from behind.
She wheels around and turns in the direction that she suspects someone is looking at her from.
Hey, what's up?
Who's there? She ducks out of the way. She tries to run like past him.
I guess Asher, what do you do here? Like, do you try to stop her, or do you let her go?
I think he just tries to follow her because he's just kind of confused on what's going on. So I'm just gonna follow.
Okay, she's like sprinting and looking back over her shoulder every once in a while. Is Asher like running or like just kind of walking and following her? She doesn't totally know where she is, so she's not like running in any particular direction.
It's also, I want to set the scene here. So, I mean, Asher, you're following her. Ella, you're running away, and Asher is keeping pace with you by walking pretty briskly because, again, you're a small gnome.
Yeah.
True.
And Asher has kind of been in the woods for a while.
She keeps looking over her shoulder and trying to run, and then realizing that she's unable to run away from him, she kind of stops and turns around. And she says, "Look, I wasn't doing anything, okay? I was just looking around. Just don't tell anyone. I'll go right home."
Well, do you want a closer look? I can get you in.
What do you live there?
Well, kinda, yeah.
Kind of?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay. Oh man. Could you really get me in? There's something in there that
Come on, let's go.
I've seen
grab her hand and start dragging her.
Whoa, hold on. She pulls her hand back. Don't touch me.
Actually, let's do a strength challenge right now.
My strength is the worst, Adam.
What'd you say?
My strength is the worst. I'm a 12-year-old gnome girl.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a 12-year-old ranger boy. So.
Okay.
So what are we doing? Just straight strength plus modifier?
Yeah. Just straight up challenge. Whoever.
It's a 3.
Wins.
It's a 3 for me.
So plus modifier, that's 19.
Oh my god!
I'm sorry. How did
I rolled an 18.
Oh my god!
I only have a +1.
Just break her arm.
Yeah, I have a -1. So
I would say so. I mean, you're protesting Ella, but like you're coming back with him.
yeah, she keeps like trying to pull it away, and she's like, "You're hurting me. Let go."
No, it's fine. Let's go.
She's kind of like looking for an escape now. She kind of assumes that she's like in trouble, and still trying to struggle away, but obviously isn't going anywhere.
Right. So, I mean, it's not like I can't imagine you guys would have gotten very far from the house. So, pretty quickly, Asher's back up on the house. Are you familiar enough with the Rockston family that you're just coming into the house, Asher, or are you like still?
Oh, I'm just coming in. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, is it do you have manners or is this?
No.
As he's
I wouldn't be familiar enough that I would say that like, oh yeah, I totally can just walk in, but I just don't know any better.
Right.
Yeah, as he's like approaching the door and showing no sign of slowing down, she's like, "Stop! There's people in there. You can't just stop. No."
That's kind of the point of going inside.
No, we're not supposed to. We're not supposed to be. She's frantically trying to get out.
All right. So, I mean, the door opens. And with a 19, I'm going to give this to Asher the whole way. I was going to go for like a second, roll, but I feel like it's just too good that he's got you.
Dragging her in.
Yeah. So, I mean, Asher throws open the door. He walks in, and you hear the patriarch of the family, John, call out from the table. Asher, is that you?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Oh, Asher, we're just sitting down for dinner, and Dash, you actually see your parents sort of like look at each other, and like your mom rolls her eyes, like this is insane, and Dad kind of like pats her hand, like it's gonna be all right, don't worry. Like come on in here for dinner, son. It's time to get some nourishment in you.
Oh, thank you. I've got a friend with me. Is that all right?
Oh no.
Everyone sort of stands up at this, like, oh, you brought a friend with you, and what's your name? And John sort of walks over to Ella and gets kind of goes down to her level.
I want to point out that this entire the minute that Dash saw Ella and the minute that he saw that Asher brought her in, he just kind of shot Asher what are you doing? Look, what is even going on right now?
I was saying, does Dash ever stand up from the table, or is he just in shock of what's happening, or is it more?
I think he stands up and doesn't really move. He just stays near the table and just kind of gives Asher maybe the weirdest thing you've done so far kind of look. This is beyond you even. Look.
As soon as Ella is noticed, she kind of stops struggling, and instead she almost slumps over and looks straight down. She's wearing black pants and this black cloak or whatever that's pulled over her head, and her defining physical features, she has this really bright, almost silvery hair. It's so blonde that it's almost white or silver, and it's you see it through it comes down in front of her face too, but she doesn't respond. She just kind of looks straight at the ground, kind of just standing there. She doesn't really know what to do.
I mean, John kind of looks to Asher then in this sort of moment, what's going on with your friend here?
I look at her and just go, come on, tell him your name. It's all right.
My name's Ella.
Well, Ella, any friend of Asher here is definitely a friend of the Rockstons, and he sort of stands up at that and turns around. He says, "Would you like to join us for dinner? I'm sure we can set another table or another place at the table." And sort of gestures to the servants to set another plate.
Sorry.
Of course we do. Thank you.
No, I really I shouldn't. She tries to turn away, but I imagine she's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, do you think Asher has let her go, or is this
at this point? Dash has just sat down at the table and just has his head in his hands at this point because this is not going well at all.
I would imagine Asher doesn't let go until he actually goes to sit down.
Okay. Okay. So then we're in this moment where John, Cecilia, and are sitting at the table looking at you, Ella, and sort of expecting you to come and sit at the table. Asher has let go of you just in this moment, walking towards the table to sit down, and there is a servant kind of near you, sort of like, come on this way, your seat's over here. I guess what's your move here? Is the social anxiety, is this too weird of a moment for Ella to run away from, or does she?
I think it is too weird at this point. Like to run away would be so weird that she won't do it.
Okay. I'm also going to add this final element to it. It's that you're basically standing in the right living room.
Yeah.
And in the corner, like you can see it, like there's the doors to the dining room, and to the left, just inside those doors is where that vase is that we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she, when Asher lets go of her hand, she kind of like pulls it back to her and almost like rings it a little bit because it hurt that she was gripped so hard. And I think then she finally kind of like looks up and looks at the other people and takes a glance at that vase. And like for too long kind of just stands there, but then wordlessly kind of goes and sits down at that chair they had for her. What do these people look like? Everybody here, I guess, because this is, it was dark outside, and the first time she'd seen Asher and stuff too.
Yeah, so we just got a description of Ella. Michael, give me your description of Asher.
Asher is wearing kind of rattier clothes, obviously. And he's got this very dark brown hair. Kind of that color where it's like, oh, it could be black, it could be brown. You're not really entirely sure. Mm-hmm. And just filthy, like no sense of cleanliness whatsoever. Yeah.
I would say if you ever watch Cecilia, whenever Asher is in the room, she's always looking at where Asher is stepping and just kind of like shaking her head all the time. Like that's never going to come out.
Yeah. Think like Pigpen.
Right.
Yeah. He's just got that cloud just kind of following him.
Okay. Dash.
I put for him, he's about 5'1" and 104 pounds. He hit his first growth spurt like pretty early. He's a bigger kid than most are his age. He has light brown hair with that silver streak that his wolf form takes that color instead of like his actual brown hair. If you were, and this is going to be interesting, I think as soon as Ella walked in, like he saw something, he kind of like crossed his legs funny because he does have a scar. Well, he has a scar on his leg from where he was bitten. And I think like,
I know what you were going for with
that. I know. I understand what has happened now. I do understand what has happened. I'm ignoring it. No, like I think
and Alex wasn't expecting that crossover.
No, I think like as soon as Ella even walked in, he like tried to hide this scar from this bite and like kind of tucked the pendant under the shirt he was wearing because he was just in like normal lounge clothes at home because he wasn't really expecting Asher to barge in with some complete stranger. He has like sky blue eyes. And then I just put for like the skin complexion, just normal tan, just a normal looking kid in that regard.
And I think generically Cecilia and John they're tall, slender, adults.
Yeah.
Dressed
and that's
pretty
just
well,
the extent
probably,
of the
right?
description that we will ever give for. I think
Yeah.
I think a majority of the adults in our world, I'm gonna basically not describe at all. Like they'll just sort of generically be these, taller people.
Wah, 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 wah,
Yeah,
wah, wah.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm shooting for here. Yeah.
Cool.
So Ella, you sit down at the table. Do you pull your hood down, or because
Yeah, it's still up.
you leave it up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you pull. I mean, you sit down at the table. John, Cecilia, and Dash all already have food. It looks like some sort of game, probably rabbit, a bunch of vegetables, which Ella, I'm not sure that you'd be super familiar with, at least not, that aren't like super mushy and, been cooked to death.
Yeah.
Asher, you're probably less, you're probably just more surprised that there are things like seasoning in the world.
Yeah.
And so like,
I'm wondering why those vegetables are so mushy.
I want this, like, this sort of fuels this obsession for salt with you. Like, you never knew things could taste. And like,
I think it's more the other way. I'm just like kind of like, why is this here? Why do we have this? Like,
and the two servants, lay down plates in front of Ella and Asher, and Asher, I'm sure, has no reservations. And there is, from here on, proceeds the most awkward dinner of all time of John asking questions about Ella and what Asher did today. And I presumably Ella not really responding in any way, shape, or form, and Asher getting really excited about almost talking to someone long enough to be their ranger apprentice.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens. I walked up to this guy and asked him if he knew anything about being a ranger, and he said he knows everything about being a ranger. And I was so excited. Finally, I found a teacher, and so I started asking him questions about everything that has to do with being a ranger. And about 5 minutes in, he actually told me, I'm actually full up on students right now, so I can't actually take you on. It's a really weird dynamic with the Ranger Guild. Like, all of them are full. I think they're all just like, everyone just wants to be a ranger, which kind of solidifies my need to be a ranger even more.
I love it. And Dash, what have you spent your day? What have you spent your day doing today, son?
Well, I went out with Asher. I went with him out to the woods again for a little bit. I did not go with him to find a ranger teacher. I definitely didn't meet Ella at any point throughout the day, which I'm guessing he did without me. That would have been some good information to know, Asher. Thank you for keeping me informed.
Hey, no problem, buddy.
Yeah, it really means a lot. I spent most of my day back out in the woods again. Asher was with me for a little bit, but most of it I was just out there by myself thinking.
Alex, what is Ella's mom's name? Do we have a name for her?
I haven't thought of one yet, but we can real fast if you'd like.
I would like a name for her.
What about Myra?
Myra. I like that. What is Ella's last name? Is like Gladstone?
Silveridge.
Silveridge.
You weren't even close.
I was gonna say a little off there. Gladstone or Silveridge? Yeah,
I feel like I'm close enough. I'm like desperately trying to find your background sheet that you sent me, and I can't find it. So,
It's a Google Doc.
The dinner sort of proceeds. We get all the way to dessert, which is just some fruit. Maybe there's some cream, and You're probably about halfway through it, and John,
Is it Dreamy Screamy Cream?
What'd you say?
Nothing. Carry on.
I think I know where you just went there.
You guys are the worst.
I made a boom bam joke. Carry on.
Brown.
Yeah, you're about halfway through dessert, and John looks up at Ella, sort of his last ditch effort to try and get, learn anything about this person, because at some point John also asked Asher, so tell us about your friend here. And Asher had no information to offer.
I don't really know.
I met
her like 10 minutes ago. She seems really nice. That's a positive. And she likes to eat vegetables with salt. I
think at this point Dash just like looks up and it's just like, Asher, literally, what the heck? But because he thought that like they had met at some point throughout the day whenever Dash was not with Asher. So hearing like he met her like 10 minutes ago before barging through the door, he's just like, he looks as if he has just given up at this point. Like, what even are you doing?
Yeah, she's
Which
just been
Asher
like
does not pick up on.
Yeah.
Nope.
She's just been like hyper anxious this whole time, like nervous that she's going to get in trouble.
At all.
Yeah, giving very short answers, but also eating the food because it's really tasty.
So you're about halfway through dessert, and John finally looks up at Ella and then looks to Cecilia and then back to Ella and looks at Cecilia and says, "You know who she looks like? She looks like that. What was her name? Silveridge, I believe was her name. Myra Silveridge." And she looks back. He looks back to you and he says, "Do you know a gnome named Myra Silveridge?"
She cannot contain her shock at this. Like she reacts very obviously, I think.
I also want it to be clear that these people are hella racist and basically just assume that all gnomes know each other. Like, I'm sorry to put that on your family, Dash, but the Rockstons are.
Yeah, I feel like this has been a pretty big learning curve, like of just Dash trying to convince, like, they're like, "Oh, we saw this wolf out on our troubles today. Do you know them?" And it's like, "Mom, that's probably just a wolf."
Yeah.
like I feel like that's been a really big learning curve for the family. Like, just because they're an animal does not mean that I know the person.
Right.
Like their difference, Asher is doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. Fair point.
He assumes you can talk to wolves, and no matter how many times you tell him no, he just does not believe you.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah. So he names your mom.
Yeah.
Maya Silveridge. She's an art dealer. Kind of pops around this side of more pork every once in a while. We have a few pieces around the house from her, don't we? Cecilia sort of nods her head, yes.
Yeah, she I think this is really the first time she makes eye contact with John. She kind of looks up and studies him, and she says, "Myra Silveridge, you've bought things from her?"
Oh yeah, she's one of my preferred art dealers. She understands my sense of style so well. And Cecilia shakes her head at this, and she's like, "Dear, you can't call what you have style. It's not." And
could you?
John just continues. No, it's she. Yeah, she comes by every couple of months or so, and she's when she's procured a new piece of art for me or something I just might find interesting, she comes by the house, and she always offers me a fair price, which I rarely have to haggle with her. She always it's one thing I very much enjoy about doing business with Myra. Yes, but do you know her?
I think at this point she kind of realizes that there's an opportunity here for her to kind of get what she wants, but she also doesn't really want to divulge her relation to her or whatever. Mm-hmm. So now is when she turns on the charm and the charisma, what little she has. And she says, "I have noticed your pieces. They are very stylish. Would you show them would you show them to me?
Oh, of course. And John gets very excited about this. He stands up pretty much immediately, and he walks into the living room, the first living room. He walks in. He says, "Well, this is mainly sort of my living room, and then that's Cecilia's over there. We have such conflicting styles and feels for art that we felt it necessary to give each other our own spaces. So and he sort of like gestures generically around the room. He's like, I enjoy a history and nature, and he points to this is where the painting of the landscape scene is. He says, I actually hear that's from the Klatch Mountains, if I'm understanding that correctly.
Did this Silver Ridge? Did she sell this to you?
Oh no, that wasn't Silver Ridge. And he sort of spins around the room, and he points to a couple of really small things, nothing that really makes you feel like you've seen it before, just kind of generic pieces, but like. He talks about it. He's like, this was a bayonet that was held by some so and so, and then he gives you some more historical pieces. And he doesn't seem to be going anywhere near the vase at first, mostly because he's on the other side of the room looking at all those things.
Sure. Yeah. I think she tries to steer him in that direction. Is that I noticed this vase over here? Is that yours? Is this from her as well?
Oh yes, that actually that was. And he looks at Cecilia and he says, "That was Myra, wasn't it? It was. That's a fairly new piece actually. It's only been in our house about a month." And he picks it up like very gingerly, and he's like, "This is." He's like, "This was an ancient civilization out on the east side of the disc. I don't know much more beyond that, but you can see." And he sort of like he sort of hands it closer to you to inspect.
Yeah.
Definitely not in a way that he's like, "Here, hold this thing."
Right.
Like he cares for it a lot. But he's holding it in that way, like waiters show wine bottles to each other. And so, the bottom is exposed to you here.
Yeah.
Sorry. And on the, I forgot my role here for a second. And on the bottom, it's very clear. You see the star with 3 runes sketched into it. That for sure this was the vase that your mother had.
Cool. I think she wants that. She wants to have that.
Okay.
Can't imagine Rockstons are going to be like, "Here, take this vase."
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. She says,
I mean,
wow. Go ahead.
How intently are you studying this? I guess he probably holds it out there for a few seconds, a few moments for you to study. And then he very quickly puts it back down onto its pedestal in the corner.
Right.
And starts, kind of going to a few other things that he has, just showing them off. And eventually he tires himself out of this. Like it doesn't last much longer. Even John can only talk about his art for so long.
Sure. Yeah. As he finishes up, I think, she's pretty uninterested in the stuff that's not, directly that vase or leading. And once she's kind of seen it, she's sort of done with the whole thing. She says, "Yeah, thank you for showing me all this. I do need to go. So thank you for dinner. I'll be on my way." And she kind of starts towards the door.
John's a little bit confused by this, and he's like, "Oh, you don't have to leave so soon." And he sort of looks to Dash and Asher, and he says, "I believe you boys were planning a game night tonight, weren't you? I understand that Asher has never played a game before, so I know they were going to play, just a couple of games, and actually, Cecilia and I were actually headed out for the evening. And if you'd like to stay, the servants are more than happy to get any sort of late night treats you might be interested in, and you can play some games with the boys. It's our business. But and he sort of he says that, and he also like in this moment realizes what time it is, and he looks at Cecilia and he says, hey, actually we better be leaving, honey. It's time for us to go. And they sort of pick up in this like whirlwind, and they're out the door pretty quickly. Like barely, you don't even really have time to react to all this. Like it's just enough time for you to like kind of sit there and be like, well, I don't, and they're gone.
Okay. So it's just me and these two guys now.
Yeah. And then there are a couple of servants puttering around cleaning up, but I mean, they're not.
Sure.
Let's play a game. I know a game. It's really fun.
My name's Ella.
Hi.
Hey,
You said that before.
you introduced yourself to my parents.
Yeah, but we haven't really talked at all, have we?
That's a fair point.
You live here?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess I sleep here. I don't really spend much of my time here, really, but
She gestures towards Asher. Does he live here? He said he kind of lives here. I guess you kind of live here too, huh?
Yeah, kinda is about the closest I think it gets.
Cool.
He lives behind my house.
There's a really great woods out there. You should really see it. It's like top quality.
Cool. You like your parents?
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I don't talk to them much. We haven't really been super close. There's been some stuff in our past that they can't really relate too much to. And I think as he says this, like he kind of gets that like noticeably like self-conscious, like he kind of sees like her. I think he saw her silver hair and like kind of had that weird questioning, like, oh, maybe she's, and then kind of has the look of like, stop it. No, that's just me. And like, is kind of having this internal conflict of like, kind of hearkening back and like wondering how much she's able to like talk to her without letting something slip at this point.
Cool.
So yeah.
I have to get back home soon. Can I want to look at that vase again.
While they're doing that, Asher has walked outside and has been gone for like a minute or two.
As soon as he walks out the door, like Dash wasn't even paying attention. He just sees the door open. He's like, "Are you seriously? Oh my god! All right, well, it's us now, I guess." He does this sometimes.
Okay. I want to look at that vase again.
I've never been allowed to touch that vase, so I can't. I don't know if they'd really be thrilled about someone else really. Like,
I'll be really careful, I promise.
Can you reach it at least? Do I need to like get it down or
can she reach it?
That's a good question. No, I think you could get it down if you wanted to, but like it would be a lot safer for Dash to get it down.
Yeah, I think he kind of sees this and he's like, "Oh, geez. All right, fine, just a tiny bit, just for like a few seconds, just like a couple seconds."
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, Dash like gets it down and just kind of like I think puts it on the ground like closer to her a little. I don't think he really wants to hold it very long. I think he's like, I think his parents have made it so clear, like, hey, don't touch this thing. This is like this immensely valuable, rare thing. Don't mess with it. That I just don't think he trusts himself to hold it. And B, he still doesn't really know how to interact with new people very much. So he's just like, I guess she can see it down here. I'll just put it down here for her.
Okay, she picks it up and studies it, and looks. I don't know. She's very like either. It seems like she's not like looking or paying attention to anything, or she like is like frenetically kind of like taking everything in, you know? So she's like kind of taking it in and then looks at Dash and says, How much did your parents pay for this?
I don't know. All I know is that it seems to be the most valuable thing because I've at least been allowed to breathe in the general direction of any of the other things they've bought. This one I'm pretty much not really allowed to do anything but look at from a safe distance because it's
a lot of money, huh?
So right,
I think the words they used to describe it were, quote, something else.
So right in this moment, Asher comes tearing through the house. He
comes back in. He's got like this handful or this like armful of rocks.
basically.
What?
He's prepared for this game because he doesn't know many games, and the ones he's made up involve rocks.
They're all
Dasher
rock-based.
sees it. It's like, what have we told you about rocks in the house? You know my mom hates that so much. You know she hates it.
It's a really good game, though.
They all have rocks.
This one,
They're all the same.
but this one doesn't involve throwing them.
What do you do with them?
You stack them
Oh, great.
So
as high as you can.
So Asher, in this excitement of it all, is sort of moving around very quickly. He is kind of moving back and forth, and he accidentally trips. He lands into Dashner, who falls into Ella, who drops the vase on the ground, smashing it into a lava. The three of you sort of stand back up. Presumably you're mad at each other in some way, shape, or form, and begin arguing. And I guess that, like, how do we react to that?
I think
Hey,
immediately Dash kind of like almost like puts one hand, I would say, like near where his like pendant is underneath his shirt, just like subconsciously like reaching for some form of like stability and comfort in this moment, because he knows just how screwed he is as soon as his parents get home. He is just already thinking like, well, this is gonna suck. Like, does not know what he's gonna do. I think he's less like arguing angry and more just kind of like standing there trying to figure out what even to do, like how to react. He just does, because he's met this new person that he's not used to even meeting anyone at all in this one night. And then immediately Asher or Ella or him, he's not entirely sure what all just happened, caused this great moment of panic for him. And so he's just kind of overwhelmed, I think, in the moment.
How is Ella reacting to this?
Yeah, when it breaks, she like kind of jumps up and starts like backing away towards the door, like she's just trying to get out of there, while Dash is kind of stunned and while Asher's I don't know, imperceptive of everything.
Or indifferent.
Yeah.
Or indifferent.
It's probably
she's kind of
closer.
like creeping back towards the door, kind of hoping that no one is seeing her, move that way.
You're backing up towards the door. You're most of the way out of the living room that you guys are in. And you run into something. It doesn't, to say you ran into someone would be generous. And you turn around as you run into, as you know, you're stopped by this. And what greets you is sort of this, it's something that seems to take up space, but doesn't really seem to be there. If we were in a movie of this, it would basically just be like a darkness, like this place where light isn't touching anything, that kind of makes up the shape of a person, slightly taller than you, Ella, not quite as tall as Dash.
Can Ash and Dash both see this, or is it just like only visible to Ella where she's at right now? Like, is it noticeable enough from a distance, or is it?
If you guys were looking at it, you would notice it, but because neither of you guys, unless Ella makes a sound when she bumps into this thing, which I don't feel like she would. Like, I feel like she's practicing
moving slowly.
Like when you're trying to sneak away, you don't make noise. So unless you are looking over in her direction, you don't see it.
I kind of think instinctively like Dash at this point, because he realizes that Asher is not going to do anything to remedy the situation. He's probably just going to start stacking more rocks. I think he takes like one of the rocks. He realizes like he's like, okay, everyone, let's figure it out. And he kind of realizes Ella's gone and just glances at Caesar and just like kind of was like, hey, where do you think you're going? And kind of tosses a rock. And I kind of want to say it misses and also kind of hits this
you
form.
Threw a rock at me?
It's just like in your general area to try to like get your attention. Like, hey,
how big of a rock? We're talking. We say rocks, but like we mean like
not like a stone. It's not like
it's like gravel sized pieces of rock.
Yeah, I would say like the size of like a D20 or so. Like just this little thing like that would hit the ground near her and be like, hey, I see you. But I think he kind of missed and like hit the shape and saw it take an unnatural hit and is also kind of stunned. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. So you see this thing too, and as the rock hits it, you get the impression that it is turning around, and what you were looking at was the back of it. And as it turns around, it has these large. They're just it has these white eyes that aren't much larger than what you would expect them to be on like a person, but like they're just a little bit larger. It has the impression of a nose, but not really any, nothing to really identify what that nose what really looks like or anything. It's just sort of generically there. And you see its hand reach up to where its mouth should be and suddenly notice that it's holding a cigarette. It takes a draw from the cigarette, looks at the three of you and says, well, you guys are in some shit.
I think immediately Dash, like, I want to say like runs like into his room or like tries to like get out of the hall in some way or just like tries to make himself not noticeable because he is just overwhelmed.
Yeah, Ella's getting out of there too. She's running. I think she's running towards the front door.
Dash's literal first instinct was to dive through the window and become a wolf and run away, but he realizes that might also hurt him if he were to dive through glass. So he's currently like just trying to find a way out of the house that is not through this thing.
Okay, and Ash, what's your move here?
You want to stack rocks with me?
Oh my god!
So Ella,
Ash, as he says that, Dash is like, Asher, come on.
What?
So
whatever.
So Ella runs for the door. The demon is sort of between her and the door, but not like in a way that would make it hard to get around, especially for a smaller gnome. Dash turns to run upstairs to his room, which sort of forces him to go towards that door entryway area again, and then turn upstairs. And Asher sits there for a minute and then asks it if it wants to stack rocks. And the demon just sort of sits there in silence for a second, like looking around the room, trying to gather its place, and then holds up its hand that's not holding a cigarette and snaps its fingers. And Ella and Dash are standing back in the room again. And it looks at you guys and says, when I said you were in some shit, I didn't mean you could run away.
I think Ella's kind of in like shock now. I think she just tries to run away again. I think that's the only thing she would think to do.
What does Dash do? What Dash is?
I think Dash has at this point realized running won't work, and he's never really been in a proper fight, so he doesn't know how to be intimidating. But I think the first thing he notices is the cigarette and all of that, and he's just like, Hey, sir, my parents are going to be really upset if there's any form of like ash or burns at the house. Can you be?
Hey, my name's Asher.
At least be. Great. Dasher, he just stops talking. As soon as Asher introduces himself, he just shuts up. He just stops. He flames up again.
You see this thing sort of. It almost seems like its size, like in this moment, like it doesn't seem like it's there, but it also is there for sure. And it seems to kind of like, deep breath, like, okay. And snaps his fingers one more time. And Ella is back in the room with the three of you. And the demon says, I understand that's probably not the best foot to get on. So let me introduce myself. My name is Capgras. You've probably heard of me before, at least heard of, what I'm famous for. No autographs, please. I had my share of fans back in the day.
That name does not ring a bell, no.
You guys never. And he sort of looks at Ella like, you know who I am, right?
I'm trying to think how she's processing all of this. This is such a simple question, but
I think
I know. She goes, I'm not even supposed to be here. I need to get out of here now. This isn't where I need to go home. And she tries to run away again.
Capgras kind of, it's like you start to run away and he just snaps his fingers and you wind up just like running in place. And Capgras starts walking towards you guys like, come on, like Capgras, like, I replace your loved ones, so it's like your mom's not your mom anymore. It's really, a demon or, that.
My mom's
Capgras,
dead.
come on, you guys.
Are you
Really? You guys never heard of me?
how you said back in your day? Like, when is back in your day? Because we're like 11, dude.
Like I'm like the legends. They're still out in the world, aren't they? Like I spend
most of my time with this dirty kid in the woods. So honestly, legends don't really reach me that much.
I spend most of my time in a cave.
Yeah, he does that a lot.
He sort of gestures. He was like, "Cave, yeah. Like I work with animals and stuff. Like I got that,
Oh yeah, you work with animals?
Oh yeah, man. I do.
What kind of animals?
I do the same thing. All kinds of animals. I love to replace animals, animal loved ones with with demons. It's just it's kind of a game I have.
It doesn't seem like
you guys ever heard of
Sound
me?
fun. That doesn't sound like a fun game.
I couldn't have been trapped in there too long. Let's see. The last thing I remember, I didn't even, where in the disc was I? That was, it was at convention.
We're on a disc?
That's a thing. You guys know it's a disc.
Okay.
Fun fact. Well, Asher might not.
I spent 5 years in a cave.
I say that. There was a convention. I'm trying to think. Oh, and there was the sorcerer. That guy. That guy was a dick. Yeah. And then he put me in that vase. And now I'm here with you guys. And he like snaps his fingers and Ella like is sort of let free. I guess, does Ella keep running or?
I think Ella at this point is kind of like plopped onto the floor and started like kind of silently sort of like sobbing. She's just like overwhelmed and doesn't know what's going on or what to do.
I think that Dash has been in shock ever since he said that he works with animals because Ash knows about the whole werewolf thing. Ella does not. And the minute he was like, yeah, I work with animals. And whenever Ash was asking like what kind of animals, I think he started getting very self-conscious again and very worried like that this was going to slip. And he's just kind of clammed up out of pure fear now.
Yeah. He sits there he kind of looks around at you guys and he's like, I was pretty big in Uber world. I guess like how close are we to Uber world? Like, we're probably, just over there, right? And you guys are nowhere near Uber world to give you a reference. Like you're basically on the other side of the disc.
Is that
This is Ankh-Morpork.
The ride sharing dimension?
He hears Asher say Ankh-Morpork and he stands there for a second and he's like, Ankh-Morpork. That tiny little fishing town on the other side of the disc. What? Why am I here? Who brought me here? Which one of you guys did?
Mom. It was my mom.
Your mom. Was she working for the sorcerer? Is she like an apprentice for the sorcerer?
I don't know.
I
don't even know what she
could be
is.
anything you want to be these days. Like a lot of other demons were kind of like, women can be witches, but they can't be sorcerers. But like, in my opinion, like women can do it all. Like that's where I stand. So I mean, she like an apprentice or like what's her deal?
I don't know.
Oh, do you know the sorcerer she's working for or anything like that?
No.
Damn it. Okay. Well, here's the deal, guys. Whatever had me kept in that thing, basically binds me to the person or people in this case apparently who set me free. So until you get rid of me or 1,000 years, whichever comes first, we're kind of in this thing together. Now, I don't know if you guys have any personal demons. I would hate to intrude on your personal demons, but I'm just kind of doing my thing. See where I kind of fit into your guys' vibe, your guys' world,
What?
But
What is your thing?
my thing? You really never heard of Capgras?
No, I spend my time in the woods, and my parents' vase. They're gonna be so mad. What is going on?
Okay, so my bread and butter. This is what I've been known for. Like people like they call it Capgras delusion if I'm good enough. What happens is I take someone away, a family member, let's say, like your mom, kid. Like, I could just take your mom, throw her into the demon dimension just like that, like no problem at all. And then I assume her form and wreak havoc.
This sounds horrible.
Oh, it's so much fun though, dude. Like you gotta try it. It's a lot of fun. You want me?
Can you assume my form and throw me in the demon dimension?
Here's the issue with that. We're sort of bound together, and I don't really like the demon dimension that much. So,
could it be any worse
that's
than
gonna
this?
be a no-go for me. That's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Yeah, Ella's just like completely at a loss. I don't think she has any frame of reference about how to do this.
While you guys are just sort of processing, Capgras is like, well, let me show you a little. So
wait.
Please don't.
Oh no.
Can you at least put that vase back?
Wait, what was it?
Can you put the vase back together?
Can I put the vase back together? No, I cannot put the vase back together.
Oh, my parents are gonna kill me.
Putting it back together also will not rebind me to it because it is shattered.
Well, we can deal with the whole demon situation. We can deal with the demon situation later. Do you understand how mad my parents are gonna be?
Not my concern.
Well, you said you're bound to us, so I feel like it kind of is at this point. Can you put the vase back together?
I'm bound to you as long as you're alive. My fate isn't tied to your fate. There's like, being bound to someone just means that like basically I'm gonna be around you all the time.
Capgras?
Yeah, what's up?
This is all this is a huge mistake. I was just here to look at that vase, and I don't even know these people. You don't. I'm not supposed to be bound to you. Can I just go home?
Here's the thing. I don't make the rules, and I do follow the rules because without rules, what are we? Because even animals got rules, ain't that right? You do. What are your guys' names? I don't know your guys' names. I feel like calling you Spike, and he's pointing at Asher.
I told you my name. My name's Asher.
That's right, Spike. I remember that.
I'm Dashner. Not
I don't.
Confused.
That is a crazy ass name, kid. I don't know where you.
You know
that.
what? Just call me Dash.
Like my name's Capgras, man, and I think Dashner's a crazy name. Okay, Dash and Lil One. Mom's a sorcerer apprentice. What's up with you? What's your name?
I don't even know what my mom is. I don't think she's a sorcerer, but at this point, you can't really rule anything out, huh?
It's a crazy mixed up world out there. What's your name, though? Follow me. I'm going to call you.
My name's Ella.
So close. Okay. Ella. Spike. Asher.
Okay.
Ashner.
Hey.
Asher.
Capgras, you're obviously the one in control of this right now. Let me just be honest. She kind of like stands up at this point and looks at him. She doesn't like talking openly. That vase you were in, my mom sold it to these people, and I wanted to see it because I don't know what she does. And right now I live in an orphanage in town, and I snuck out to get here, and I have to get back real soon. Otherwise they'll notice I'm gone. So
damn, that is a sad story.
Can you just let me go back?
Well, okay. You know what, guys? You're right. I threw a lot at you. I do feel like I need to demonstrate my power a little bit. I feel like we didn't really flesh that out. So let me hit you with this. And he like, it's sort of like the swirling sort of motion. Like he's never, like we've established, he's never like really there. It doesn't seem to be like this true physical embodiment of anything. And all of that sort of nothingness sort of swirls around. And then suddenly standing right next to you guys is Ella, something that looks exactly like Ella, at least. And Capgras stands there and says, see that? I can look like any of you. I can sound just like you too.
That doesn't sound anything like me.
You always sound weird when you hear yourself recorded. And then he does it again and he turns into Asher and he's like, pretty good spike, right? Great spike. Want to play with some rocks? Let's play with some rocks.
Yeah, let's play with some rocks.
Rocks, I got it. Yeah,
don't encourage him. Please don't encourage him.
If you're throwing rocks is the best.
Throwing rocks is so much fun.
Please stop. Please don't do this again.
I like to throw him against the wall and see how many times I can get him to bounce on the ground.
The whole thing happens one more time, and standing right there is Dash, and Dash is actually wearing these like glasses in this case, and there's like some tape around the rim, and he says, "Don't throw rocks, man," and he like pretends to push his glasses back up.
He nailed you, man. That's great.
Dash just like throws a rock at Asher at this point.
Yeah, let's get it. And he turns back into his like normal form. And he says, all right, so seeing what I can do, what can y'all do? Anything at all? Because it looks like you guys are children, but I'm also not very good with human.
That's a pretty good start.
You guys could just be really small, like gnomes or dwarves, right? Are you guys dwarves?
No.
I've met dwarves.
That's really close to being a dwarf. So good, Asher. And
Am I a dwarf?
He sort of like gets down. He puts his hands on his like thighs and he says, "That's such a good Asher." Yes, it is.
Ella kind of they're probably still goofing around, and she sort of like says quietly under her breath, she goes, "I can do stuff without people know that I'm doing it."
Like you can move shit with your mind?
No, like it can take stuff.
Oh man, you guys are useless. Okay.
Dash kind of is just like, there's nothing about me. I'm a rich boy, and kind of like glances at Ash to make sure he's not going to give anything away. He's like, I just live in a rich house.
I think also when
I
don't. The way that the demon kind of like hand waved what Ella said, I think kind of like pissed her off, because this is a thing she's like really proud of. So she like, I don't know. She wants to like prove it. She like looks around. Is there anything? I don't know. Like, I mean, there's nothing on the demon, you know?
Yeah.
But like
the cigarette.
Oh.
If she could take that
Where's
cigarette, that would be a power move. What a power move.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't feel like you could actually get the cigarette. I feel like
that would be so funny.
Hey,
bit of a move.
She's got proficiency in sleight of hand, so.
Oh.
I don't know. Like, I don't want to retcon this, but like, is there like a smaller thing maybe earlier in the night that she would have like, or could have like pocketed?
I mean, I imagine there's like because I'm trying to think, because
like a necklace or something else.
Like take. She's not like an agent of chaos. Like she just sort of like showing off her being mischievous. So maybe she like take a spoon or like some silverware.
Okay.
Or do you feel like that's too small? And maybe she like while John was talking to about something else, she took like one of like a small like war thing, like just like a bullet or something from.
I think I'm trying to think. I don't know. The idea of like a dinner knife is maybe interesting because she's also like a budding rogue, and like that could maybe give a backstory to like I don't know, like an early weapon or something.
Yeah. I like that.
Do you want me to roll for anything?
No, I'm honestly like, no, yeah, I'm trying to think. No, let's not roll for it. I say we just retcon it. Because that's something I'm okay with it. Like I feel like John and Cecilia are kind of like, they're sort of oblivious parents. They're not, watching everybody like a hawk. Dash, I mean, Asher was definitely not going to notice anything. Dash is the only one who might have noticed something, but also probably didn't because, I mean,
he was
so wrapped up in his own thing. So I feel like it's a great situation where everybody's wrapped up in their own stuff.
Yeah.
Like you could do it pretty easily. So
yeah. Okay. What remind me the name of the demon again? Capgras.
Yeah.
So she, he kind of like plays it off, and then she's like, no, hey. And she pulls this, like sharp steak knife that they were eating their food with, like out of, I don't know, maybe like her boot or something, like someplace she's taken, like stolen it away. She's like, I took this and no one saw me.
Dash is just like, well, I wish I had known you had a knife before I threw a rock at you. Jeez.
Yeah, you should have thought about that, huh?
Well, I didn't expect you to steal my parents' knife.
Maybe you shouldn't throw shit at me.
Well, I'm having a pretty rough night right now.
You're having a rough night?
Fight.
I think
Dash is that the demon or is that the Adam?
Is that the demon or is that Adam?
That was the demon.
Okay. I was going to say, I think Dash at this point is very much clutching where the pendant is on his chest, just trying to keep composure because, like, he doesn't want anything to happen at this point. He is just so overwhelmed that, like, she's getting mad at him. He's getting mad. He's not used to talking to people. He's just...
Yeah, give me a... I'm trying to think of what the role would be. Like a constitution roll. Does that feel right?
I feel like it would be for Dash or for...
For Dash. For, like, staying in character. For staying in...
Oh, boy, this is going to
be a constitution saving throw.
Yeah.
Yeah, a constitution saving throw, sorry.
That is a 15 plus 1, 16.
I'll give it to you. I say like you get like a little bit, you see kind of like the hair on top of your head turn a little bit from like brown to just slightly more silver. But you got it under control enough that you're not going to turn into a werewolf, like unless you don't calm down.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the point where like Dash is just like, just stop, okay? Like he's just trying to diffuse the situation before anything gets out of hand at this point.
That would have been awesome.
Like we've both had really bad nights, okay? Just drop it.
If it wasn't for this idiot, and she gestures towards Asher, none of this would have happened. I wouldn't even be here.
I think at this point, Dash does get really upset. He's like, hey, don't talk about Ash that way. If you weren't snooping around apparently 10 minutes before he brought you in, we wouldn't be here. Where's that orphanage you talked about, huh? Thought you were supposed to be there.
Yeah, I'd love to be. She tries to leave.
I think this time, unless Asher or Dash want to stop her from leaving, the demon isn't going to bring her back this time.
Nope.
I think, oh shoot. Part of Dash wants to keep her here because this is as much her fault as it is anyone else's, and he's not just wanting to let her off that easy. But at the other time, he doesn't want to like hurt anyone or like do anything that he's going to regret later. So I think you see like Dash like maybe like itching to move forward and is like holding back a tiny bit, like trying to decide what to do in this situation.
Asher has just seen people get angry, so he is withdrawn entirely.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like unless you have like a hard action you want to take, I feel like Ella probably gets the opportunity to leave while you're deciding. Like, and I feel like that's a very classic Dash sort of interaction too.
It is.
Just because of his inaction.
Yeah, I feel like that sounds about right.
Yeah. So Ella begins the walk back to the orphanage.
Yeah, like 5 steps out the door, she just starts like crying and running.
Like that. I think Asher and Dash, how do you guys handle the demon's just kind of standing there like Dawson's Creek up in here?
I think
is Dawson's Creek a reality in this fictional world we've created?
That's not something you guys understand. Like that doesn't make any sense to you.
I think
he gets that on a satellite dish in the demon dimension.
Wonderful. I think Dash is like, what? So she just gets off easy now? Is that it? She doesn't have to deal with this? I thought you were bound to all of us. Why did she just get to run off and I'm stuck here with you two?
I mean, I could bring her back, but like, do you really feel like she was helpful there? I mean, like,
no, I don't really want to. I don't really want to hurt someone.
Dude, she had a knife. Okay, like,
yeah, she did have a knife. I'm not completely defenseless,
but
I'm not
even hiding that.
That's a really good,
right?
That's a really good question. Credit where it's due. That was good. That's a sharp knife. Like, you can't just hide that anywhere.
Yeah,
that was great. So, what is our deal now? Are we throwing rocks?
Let's throw rocks.
I can't.
And I grab a whole bunch and I run outside.
I was gonna say, I think Dash just is like, yeah, totally. Let's throw some rocks. And he runs outside and sprints into the woods. Like, he's just takes a sharp turn and goes straight to the woods.
We don't normally throw rocks out there, man. We always throw them up against that house right underneath that window.
Just, Mom told us not to do that anymore. If you know where I'm going, meet me there in 10 minutes, okay? And he just keeps running.
Okay. I really like this as a stopping point for us. I have to go. I have to pick up someone. I have to pick up someone from the airport for like 10:30. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, but I feel good as this is a stopping point for us. We've brought the group together and driven them apart in the same sort of
in half an hour.
I feel good about
that. Yeah.
So thank you for listening to Dungeon Arcade Kids. We'll be back at some point, at least once a month. Let's say that we'll put up a recording at least once a month. We'll commit to that. How about that? Again, my name is Adam, as your Dungeon Master. Asher is played by Michael. Dash is played by Nate, and Alex is played by Ella.
You did that backwards.
What'd you say?
You said Alex is played by Ella.
That's very correct.
We're so into this, guys.
I have a sister.
I feel like we should say something.
Ella is played. Yeah. Okay. So give us your best. Give us your sign off. How about that? So I'm Adam, and roll good.
I'm Alex, and I'm a little gnome girl.
I'm Michael, and I'm your dirty nature boy.
Oh boy. I'm Nate, and I'm your very hairy kid, but only sometimes.
All right.
Oh yikes!
Sweet. I feel like there's a sign off in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Stay rolling.
I kind of like how awkward that was.
That was